After 6 long years, the hardcore rework is finally upon us, and bringing with it is the reign of the Voidcaster. Seen in the trailer, the Voidcaster finally makes her first canon appearance in the world of TDS, seemingly awakening the Void Reaver himself. They're to serve EXO and reclaim what is theirs, as said by the various teasers and such. So let's take a look at everything in this trailer. But before we can get to that, we would really appreciate it if you could subscribe for more content like this and keep an eye out for posts about our upcoming TD game. Back to the lore! In summary, it's safe to say that the trailer recontextualizes a lot of what we thought we knew from previous events. One of these being Scout's dream from the Null and Void trailer. To be precise, the first thing I want to look at is the first words spoken.
It seems it's no longer a dream at all.
Which is possibly calling back to the only other dream we know of in TDS canon, Scout's premonition of EXO's return. As I stated in a previous video, the track Premonition playing in the event lobby would refer to his dream being something of that sort. However, I think I misjudged what it was a premonition of. I previously theorized it would be something in Null and Void Night 3, which turned out to be partially right as EXO returned. I took this as a win and closed the book, but just like any good theorist, I did not give up when more information came to light.
Another bad dream? It's been over a month.
Now, I believe the bad dream referred to by Professor V in Null and Void is meant to tie directly to hardcore, and that is why this specific line was chosen. And what do we see in the premonition? The return of Umbra, the history of EXO's prison, the God Cube, and EXO himself. The thing all of these have in common is that they are either dead, cast away, or forgotten entirely. We know from Null and Void that these things are banished to a realm called the Nil Zone, also known as EXO's private realm. Having a premonition of all of those things, and then the Nil Zone being opened wide at the end of the event, allowing all those old, forgotten creatures and concepts to seep out, maybe trying to show us an actual explanation for hardcore. While we currently cannot be sure on how all of this ties back to that question of what the HE double hockey sticks does this have to do with hardcore, it is clear that it is important. And to make clear how clear it is, I've employed a special type of what is pretty much Windex to clear up what would be a foggy window of understanding. I spent a long time doing the math on how many lines of dialogue appear per mode on average overall. Players see an average of 29.2 lines of dialogue per mode and an average of 0.95 lines of dialogue per wave. This leads me to conclude that hardcore, with an assumption that it keeps 50 waves, would have approximately 48 lines of dialogue. And the implication of this being a very lore-heavy mode leads to this being higher, in theory. In-game theory! Regardless, this means that they had around 50 choices of what line to use in it, with some likely much more epic. Yet, they chose this as the first line with no context, making the chance of a correlation insanely high. Either that or I'm reading way too much into this, but you're used to that by now. However, this interesting connection is not the only concept the trailer presents lore-wise. Because originally when looking at the trailer, I was just enamored by the amazing visuals and, more importantly, Voidcaster. I haven't brought her up in over a year since my video about how all of TDS ties back to the factions of old Roblox. Speaking of, in this video I said how loosely the Void Army could be connected to the Overseers. It's a real shame nothing in this trailer proves what the actual there is an Overseer Eye as an enemy working with them? Did they run out of ideas? Did I predict it again? I'm getting really good at this whole theory thing. But wait, let's take a step back. Maybe two, actually. Because why did I originally claim that the Void Army were none other than the Overseers? Well, there are quite a few reasons. For starters, the original Voidcaster seemed heavily inspired by the lore of an official Roblox bundle known as the Overseer Prophet, which is ironic considering the current circumstances. Many of the enemies had gear and weapons reminiscent of Overseer armor and tools, proposing a further connection. Lastly, the original vault door for hardcore in all of its ominous glory sported a purple Overseer eye, as if the faction once strong had been tainted by the very void some of these enemies are born from. And what do you know, my favorite little... Okay, I don't have a name for you guys, that was weird, I'm sorry. Anyway, a direct quotation from this trailer.
When there is creation, there is the void, and soon all will find comfort in it, as we have.
And as it is so very, very clear, these have found comfort in the void since creation, implying they were A, born of the void like the flippin' vessel, or B, they were once something new at creation in the old world and became corrupted. I could almost say that the hardcore enemy roster is made up of enemies fitting the constraints of both A and B. Now all we're missing is constraint C.
Subscribe to TV Notes.
Sorry, what?
Subscribe to TV Notes.
Sorry, what was the... oh, sorry, folks. We don't have a C. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That was a terrible joke. I'll see myself out.
This segment's purpose is exactly what it sounds like. If you watched the trailer but did not notice some things, I've compiled everything you need to notice. Turns out what's first on the list is actually a list, so let's list off some noticeable things at the fire rate of Juggernaut's minigun. Are you ready? Sure. Juggernaut himself appears in this, being the evolution of the minigunner, cementing evolutions to come alongside Hardcore's rework. Many clips of what appear to be cutscenes are present, making this the first non-event to have cutscenes. We see a knight-type enemy with a large helmet piece. We see a tall skeletal enemy covered in what appears to be plants, looking actually very similar to Swampers from Lunar Overture, followed by two taller brute enemies with a look of corruption swirling on their faces, also covered in this strange flora. After this, we see two damaged knights, with many players previously comparing it to the knights from Solar Eclipse when seen in the Void Brute teaser. Later, a flying enemy with glowing limbs levitates a purple glowing cube, likely able to stun or debuff. So, for anyone who somehow didn't understand, this is hardcore. You need all detections. After this, we see crowned and armored enemies, which I originally wondered, what could they be? But noticing their glowing spheres surrounding them, it hit me. Slow Kings are back. We also see what appears to be cold mists from Frost Mode briefly. A tall enemy with glowing eyes and straps around his chest, reminding me greatly of Boomers. A flying enemy with a halo and wings, perhaps a Void Angel or something. I don't know. We also see tall enemies wielding hammers, likely fallen titans, and then most peculiarly, an enemy with what appears to be a lock for a head with a torn open eye that looks around. It can also use an ability which shows an icon above its head. This thing is weird, man, and I don't like it, whatever it is. Next is a look at what appears to be an earlier wave with a sort of corrupted Speedy being visible, as well as the crystal mass and some armored zombies resembling Fallens. We also see what it looks like the return of Dark Necromancers with chains around their necks and a signature scythe. In this one shot well hidden, we see a massive enemy with a bandaged head and spikes rising out from its back. We also get a few shots of the questionably named Void Graver, as well as some weird looking spirit things. There's a large enemy with a massive shield that moves fast, and a large enemy that moves slow. Please make it move slow. There's also a shot of what looks to be a new variant of Fallen Rushers, as well as the Fallen Swordmaster is back. What do you know? The final boss fight seems to be two enemies, Void Reaver and Void Caster. Void Reaver is shown to have an ability similar to that of the Rift Walker, turning the entire map an eye-burning purple and stunning everything. He also can summon these little eyes around him that likely heal him or stun. He has a sweeping slash ability and an attack that sends energy shooting down from the skies. He also has a fake out death in second phase. Was that gonna surprise you at all? His death in the Discord that they tease shows him passing out with a sword, when in game his crystals have turned red, his horns have extended, and he wields no sword, at least in view. Voidcaster has an ability to use a shield, likely granting her mass defense or immunity altogether, while shooting energy balls out of her shield. I think that's really all we have to say about the trailer though, so let's move on. Actually, I think we found nearly everything possible to find and solve in the TDS trailer besides the constant flower imagery, which right now, other than being a possible PTSD trigger for Hollow Knight players, seems nearly impossible to figure out. But luckily, we are within days of the hardcore rework, so we will find out soon enough. Make sure to please subscribe and check out the official Discord for Onward in the description, my upcoming narrative-based TD game. See you on live for hardcore.